Welcome to 100 Yards of Football this evening. We got our college football team preview as we're going to preview the number one team in the country, the University of Alabama, located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. It's been a long time since me and this gentleman got together. And he's going to break down everything what's happening with Alabama in the offseason, and he's going to give his insight on why they're going to continuously be the number one team in the country. You know him. I consider him the number one high school coach in the Metro Atlanta area in the state of Georgia. He's a defensive coordinator over North Atlanta High School, and he's the guy that knows all about defense. And sometimes in the middle of the night, when I want to come up with a defensive scheme, I always reach out to this young man. And real talk, he beats right on point. He can tell me every detailed step what the defense is doing. My man, the very talented Kevin the Bull Jones. How you doing, brother?
V, I am doing sensational. And I tell you what, thank you for that intro. I miss y'all. It's been a little while. School is out. Got summer weight training and 7-on-7 competition and padded camps. And I'm one of many in Metro Atlanta as well as in Georgia, coaches that I've learned from some great guys that helped me to get even better at it, even at my young age that I am right now.
And another thing before we talk about Alabama this evening, I would be wrong if I didn't bring this to your attention. A lot of people out there, especially in my hometown, the 901 that watches all our videos, I want to give this young man credit because right now, he's kind of a guy that doesn't like to take all the credit. He don't like to brag. But me and him have some very serious conversations. And when I say this, he has a 13-year-old son, Chase, that's one of the top baseball players in the Metro Atlanta area that's had an outstanding summer. And when I say he's very good, he's explosive. So my heart and many blessings to you and your lovely wife for doing an outstanding job and having one of the top baseball prospects in the area, sir.
I appreciate you, Big V. I appreciate you. Of course, let my wife tell it, boy. Hey, listen, that's the real Coach Bull Jones. I just carry the title, but that's the real coach. Listen, on, off the field, at bat practice, field and practice, conditioning, training. I'm gonna keep it real. You know, I'm Coach Bull Jones on the football field, but real Bull Jones has got my son Chase just grinding. So it's beautiful to see it. And there are some great kids in Metro Atlanta as well as Georgia that play that game of baseball. That's a hard little thing to do, hit that little ball. Whew.
Okay, man, let's talk about the Crimson Tide, man. Coming into the preseason, got to replace a lot of firepower on the offensive side of the football. Defensively, they got some very special players coming back. Tell us why this season in 2021, they're going to still be at the top of the heap in college football.
Okay, listen, you all sit back, relax, get comfortable. I'm about to spill it to you. And here's where we are. Since 2007, the common denominator has been the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Saban. That is the common denominator of Alabama football. Since 2007, he's had 8 different offensive coordinators. He's had 5 different defensive coordinators. It's been only one head coach in that time, and there's been 6 national titles. Sports fans, if that doesn't tell you that you're talking about greatness and consistency, that's another word, a common denominator you hear when you talk to players as well as coaches about that consistency, how they do things the right way all the time, and they never fray from it. Now, they have the ability to prepare for sudden change. However, the ability, muscle memory, things you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it with some of the top players in the nation is what Coach Saban does with his staff. He only has 2 holdovers from the previous staff. 3, Sal Sinceri. All right, outside linebackers coach, D-end coach. He's also got Pete Golden, defensive coordinator. And he also has Holman Wiggins, the receivers coach. There's only 3 coaches left from the staff from last year. And if you got a chance to watch any of the spring game, you saw Coach Saban during the interview during the spring game. He talked about the toughest part right now is you got three people that remember the system and how things move in place for the process of success. So that hasn't changed. The plays won't change. But the magnificent part of what Coach Saban has done, sports fans, is he's brought in veteran coaches. He's brought in former NFL coaches. Doug Marrone, offensive line coach. Bill O'Brien, got a chance to talk to him recently. And he's the offensive coordinator. Okay? A former head coach. And also he was previously with Coach Saban before. And so Sal Sunseri has been with Coach Saban before and come back. And you have a staple of great coaches. So when you put that with the 12 starters coming back, I say 12 because originally sports fans, people think that, you have 3 on offense, you have 7 on defense, but I count other players that had to weather the storm and become starters in the crucial part of the season, SEC championship game, in the playoffs, the college football playoffs. Chris Owens had to start, 6-year returning senior. And then you also have Daniel Wright, who had to do a lot in the secondary. So I don't count 11 starters coming back. I count 12 starters coming back. Okay, 4 on offense. Okay, and really 13 it's 8. And then we got Wright on defense. So here's where we are. 8 returners, defense, 4 on offense. And then you have the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the nation that played 1 season, threw for over 156 yards. That's Bryce Young. Sports fans, he is another version. He is a new millennial version of Drew Brees, except for he has the ability to run. And when he scrambles, sports fans, he scrambles with his eyes downfield to throw the football. So with that happening, the whole thing with Mac Jones, first-round draft pick, by the way, 2021 NFL draft pick. Everybody talked about the mobility factor and Mac Jones can't move. He could move, but his way of moving was getting rid of the ball. Well, Vincent, now you got a young man who does a fascinating job of feeling pocket pressure, and he got a lot of that in the spring game. Okay, that offensive line, we've got some things we got to fix in there and replace. And it's all about game speed and knowing where to go. The plays did not change. Okay, so Bryce Young has an excellent feel for pocket pressure and presence, and he has nimble feet. He is very creative with the football. He can improvise, and he makes very good decisions as well. And Coach Saban was extremely pleased with his performance. Sports fans, y'all can look that up. That's what he said. So with that being said, I always mention to you, you're only as good. You can have a great defense. You can even have a great offense. But the blend of having what you need to win the SEC championship game and play in that playoff game and be one of the standing teams in the end, you have to have a quarterback that can make it all happen. So I think when it comes to that, we're in a good place with Bryce Young. He's gotten some experience. And guess who I think his secret target is going to be? His special target is going to be Jaleel Billingsley, an exceptional tight end that has that big frame, great speed, and he can line up on the outside. So he can do some creative things that maybe Crimson Tide fans hadn't seen in a while. As far as the running backs are concerned, we have a plethora. Yes, I said plethora. Don't know how to spell it, but I know how to say it. We have some great running backs. And, of course, Brian Robinson Jr. You got Jesse McClellan. You got Trey Sanders. You got Roydell Williams. And you have a special freshman who's already there. You got Kamar Wheaton. So we've got some great running backs that's not going to change. Okay, Robinson Jr. is going to be at the forefront. He's going to be the cash cow on that. But once again, you're talking about an offense that it interchange with the running backs, but the scheme still stays the same. What did we lose? We lost Najee Harris, who over the last 2 years, he's been 60% of the offense. Can you believe that, Vincent? He's gone. So now we have a stable of guys. They're going to have to make that up, and I think we should be fine. On the offensive line, okay, here we go. Okay, we got to implant some new people interject some new people to be successful for us. And we got Elijah Neal coming back, Evan Neal, coming back. We got Emil Ikior coming back. Okay, and we also have Chris Owens, who's coming back. And he had to start, remember, those last games after Landon Dickerson went down. And he's a 6-year returning senior. Okay, so that extra year did help him as far as being able to be at the forefront of our offensive line. You talk about the number one scoring offense in the nation in 2020. Can we do that again, Vincent? I don't know. I don't know if we're at that point right now, okay, because we had to replace a lot of receivers, with the exception of John Michie III and Slade Bolden. But we've got some other guys that are coming in now that did a great job in the spring game, okay? Ozzie Hall had an exceptional catch. He's out of Florida. This kid is the real deal, 6'3.5", 195 pounds, and he showcased his talent against some veteran players in the spring game, this past spring game. So, Vincent, there's a lot to be excited about. But right now, our Achilles heels, or should I say our growing pains, that I think are going to come in the offensive line, because you got Neal, who can be that bookend at the left tackle. Okay, and we got Owens that's returning, and maybe he'll be a guard because, of course, we did bring in the number one center in the nation, the Brockenmeyer kid, and we brought in his twin brother as well to be and he was one of the top tackles in the nation. So we had Latham, who was one of the top offensive tackles in the 2021 prospects, and then we brought in one of the twins. We brought in Tommy Brockenheimer to be the other tackle, one of the top tackles in the nation. And then the brother James is the center. He's the little one at 6'3", 270 right now. Big twin brother is at 6'5" and a little more weight at 292. So, but those guys got to learn how to play SEC football. So here's what I did see, Vincent, that Bryce Young, because we've got some young guys as far as snaps are concerned on the offensive line that we're going to insert, it is a great time because unlike Mac Jones, Bryce Young is going to make something happen. He's going to make it happen. Kyler Murray, he's going to improvise. He's going to cut to the left, dip to the right, eyes always downfield, and we're going to have a big play. He's faster than Tua was. So, you know, his shortness in the pocket and having to see those lanes, his greatest asset is his ability to escape the pressure, eyes downfield, and make a football play. So I'm excited about where we're going to be. Until the offense gets rolling, Vincent, the defense is going to carry us.
I'm going to say this, and when I look at Alabama this year, you brought some good points offensively and defensively, but to me, it's going to be I think the defense is going to carry Alabama early. Your young man that you know personally, William the Terminator Anderson, is going to play a big part of that. Christopher Allen, probably the best linebacker in the country, Christian Harris. I like Tim Smith, another one of those Alabama D linemen that comes out of the woods. But when it's all said and done, early on, the offense, I think, is going to take maybe an inch step back. But when I look at Bryce Young, man, and this is no disrespect, and I don't want nobody from the University of Alabama, you get upset at me this evening. But I see this young man, maybe once he get everything and him and Bill O'Brien are able to get on the same page, he might be one of the best that's ever done it. Simply because he's got the arm, he got the legs, and he can make things happen. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be in the pocket. He's got speed. I put him in the category of a poor man, Condrich Holloway, what came to the University of Tennessee in the early 70s. But that accuracy, he throws the football, man. And I went back and watched a lot of his game film in high school. He's got that accuracy like another guy that came out of California that didn't get his chance. He had to go up to the Northwest with the University of Washington, Warren Moon. He's got that type of accuracy, so he can throw the football. And, of course, he's a guy that can make things happen on the same level of a Vince Young. And coming to Alabama, the playmakers are going to make plays. And once he gets it in the gear, I'm really going to feel sorry for a lot of other defenses in the SEC because this ain't going to be a Mac Jones sitting back there throwing accuracy. You're going to have a guy that's going to be able to move, make plays, get out of the pocket, and really put pressure on the defense. And to be honest, I'm not really an Alabama fan, you know that, but I respect the Crimson Tide. But I'm going to tell you, I'm excited for them this season because they got what I call explosiveness. That's going to be his nickname this year. And I want to see the numbers are going to go up. Once he gets that offense and him and Bill O'Brien are on the same page, I think we're going to really, really forget about everybody else who's on that offense from last year. Alabama's going to be a serious football team offensively because he's a young man, dual threat, probably the best dual threat quarterback that's came on the college football scene in a long time.
Well, I tell you what. Okay, we forgive you for not being a Bama fan. We understand. I mean, everybody can't be a Bama fan. Not right now. I understand.
Yeah, I'm never going to be a Bama fan because I grew up in Memphis, so you know that we had these discussions. I mean, I'm jealous, and I hate what's going on over at Tuscaloosa, but I have to give respect and kudos to greatness because Alabama does have the best coach in all of college football, Nick Saban. He probably is really on that doorstep of an Eddie Robinson, I would say a Bear Bryant, but in essence, the guy surpassing all them. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but the one thing that I really respect about Coach Saban is that you brought up a good point earlier. He keeps bringing these coaches in that wants to be here. It's something about you want to be around greatness. There's no mistake by that. And then the biggest thing he's done, he's a defensive-minded coach. That's how he earned his money. He was willing to change and change on the offensive end because he said the times of college football were changing. And now he's probably got the best explosive offensive machine on the college level that anybody I've seen come through college football. Now, I'm sorry, Roll Tide.
Well, hey, listen, we're glad that you definitely can acknowledge that part, and we definitely appreciate this the words about Coach Saban because they're universal. Here's the thing that's going to put them, that's going to maintain their consistency for them until the offense gets their own flavor and their own good flow. And now we're talking about offensive line. I'm not talking about the receivers at that point. But when you have a defensive front and the front seven and the secondary where you only lost two guys you lost Dylan Moses and Patrick Surtain, and those were the guys that you lost, and you still have a stable of really good defensive players. You know, Brian Baker was there as a defensive line coach last year, and the substitutions and giving those guys the reps. I'm just a proponent, Vincent. If you have players, you know, the only way they get better is if they are on the football field. So it is the onus of the coach to develop those players so that they fit the scheme that you want to run. But more importantly, give that dog a bone. Give him a chance to work his craft, because it's more than just a spring game. It is about you having the ability to give that kid the tools for success, and then let him execute. And then if he doesn't execute, then you have to cut the snaps down or find a situational thing that he can do well. You know, Philadelphia Mathis is coming back. LeBron Ray is coming back. Justin Ibigbe is coming back. DJ Dale is coming back. Bryant Young is coming back. And we're talking about a defense. We're talking about a defense that was one of the tops in scoring, top 20 in scoring in the nation, and top 20 in rushing defense, only giving up 113 yards a game, rushing defense in the nation. Those are the guys that we're talking about that are going to make the impact. So those guys are all rotated in. And then when you look at the linebackers, okay, you mentioned Christian Harris, but Christian Allen was the one that led the team in tackles for losses. Now, as a defensive coordinator, Vincent, I like to know who is that impact guy that gets through the line of scrimmage and he creates a negative yardage for the offense, and they have to now come up with a play that puts them in a negative situation. It's 2nd and long, third and long. So, yes, tackle stats look great, but I like to look at who was the guy that had the tackles for losses that made the impact. So the offense, instead of it being a 2nd down and 5, Vincent, it was 2nd down and 15. Okay, so you're talking about the number 1 player in the SEC coming back, that's Christian Allen, and the number 3 player in the SEC coming back, and that's Terminator Anderson, Will Anderson out of Dutchtown High School. So now you've got these guys, these linebackers that are doing all the work. And then you have Christian Harris that led the team in tackles, like you said. But that's not the caveat. Vincent, the caveat is the transfer portal, and I forgot to omit this at the receiver side and offense side of the ball, because Ohio State transfer Jameson Williams is there. He was the kid who made the big play in the semifinal game against Clemson, 44-yard touchdown pass. He is a big splash for the Crimson Tide as far as in the receiving corps, because now you got a veteran receiver to go with some of these other kids that they had. So guess what? On the defensive side, Vincent, and I'm sorry to hurt the fans from folks from Tennessee, but I'm going to say it. Henry Toto, the lead tackler, the sensational linebacker for University of Tennessee, has been cleared. He transferred already, but he was not able to say that he can actually get on the field and practice yet until it was cleared by the SEC, because the NCAA said you could immediately transfer to whatever school you want and you could play. However, the SEC had a rule that you could not transfer intra-conference. Players couldn't transfer. So if you went, you had to sit out if you transferred from one SEC to another. Well, guess what happened, V? On June the 4th, the SEC changed the rules. And so now Henry Toto, the leading tackler for University of Tennessee Vols, is now a Alabama Crimson Tide linebacker. Welcome to the family, Toto. This is not your hat, it's mine, but I just want you to see what it's going to look like when you put it on. But guess what? Now you got the leading tackler. So, Vincent, what are we talking about? Because I'm talking about a big splash in college football today. The most sensational, highly impacted player on the defense, on the team for University of Tennessee last 2 years, is now a Crimson Tide. You talk about that defense just went to another level already with Will Anderson, with Christian Allen, with Christian Harris. We didn't even talk about, and Jalen Moody Jalen Moody was supposed to be penciled in as one of those starting guys. So now what's going to happen? You know, now you got Henry Toto in. So where are we going with this, sports fans? You already know what it's going to be. It's going to be some head knocking down in Tuscaloosa. And now, before I leave that, let's go to the secondary. Well, we have a returning Malachi Moore, who led the team in interceptions, and he was the star nickel cover player for Alabama in their 3-4 defense. He's returning. You got Daniel White coming back. Jordan Battle had a sensational, sturdy year. Okay, and you also had Josh Jobe at the corner, very impressive kid. Got a chance to watch him last week, and just impressive in his professionalism and his unselfishness to help those young kids on the team become better players. But now you have Story coming back. You have DeMarco Hellams coming back. You got all these guys that had to play in the secondary last year. And forgive me if I missed one, but I think I got most of them. But guess who is coming back? Guess who's who's already there as a freshman that had a big play in the spring game? And he was the number one cornerback in the nation. Chiquincy Kool-Aid McKinstry had an interception in the spring game. Unbelievable talent. The kid has got athleticism out of this world. Nice size corner at 6'1", entering freshman, the number one defensive back. And Alabama also got the number one junior college defensive back there, Kaylee Jefferson. So now, Jackson. So where are we? The defense will be swollen. It won't be good it will be swollen. You know what that means, Vincent? That means it's going to be hard to throw the ball. It's going to be hard to run the ball. And when it's all said and done, it makes it easier for the offense. Because they're going to give the defense going to give the offense back the ball. So maybe we talk about working with a shorter field. It is a wonderful puzzle that's going to come together, and the same language is being spoken by every player on that team. And let me also mention Drew Sanders, returning backup kid out of Texas, who's 6'5", 245, 250 pounds. He could be a rush backer, or he can play inside the middle. I mean, they are deep at every position on defense, Vincent. And that's the reason why Crimson Tide will not only win the SEC, they're going to play Georgia in the SEC championship, but they're also going to win the national championship. I didn't say play for it. I said win it. And it's going to be an amazing season. All the fans will be back out there watching. They had almost 50,000 at spring game. There's a greatness down in Tuscaloosa, and it's called Alabama Crimson Tide football. It's the greatest show on a football stadium field in college football. And Vincent, everybody that gets in our way, they will respectfully have to deal with that immense pressure from the defense, but it's all up here, Vincent. Roll Tide.
Okay, Mr. Kevin the Bull Jones, your final words about the 2021 season with the University of Alabama.
Well, we open up with University of Miami down here in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's going to be a pressure cooker. Okay, what I did say, I said to you that Alabama will end up in the SEC championship game, and I said that Alabama will also make it to the national championship game and win it. I did not say they wouldn't lose a game. It's going to be offensively. We got some growing pains and some timing. So I see it being a great season. Going to go back and get another championship title, but it's going to be rocky. But it's going to be a great season.
If you liked the video today, please comment and share it. You heard the very talented Kevin the Bull Jones. He knows all about the University of Alabama program. I'm going to say this about the University of Alabama. Right now, they got what we call a dynasty going on down there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And the coach, Nick Saban, is doing it at a high level. And I never thought I'd see a college coach have this much success with so much turnover on his coaching staff year in and year out. But it's like this. When you got people that's winning at a high level, you want to be around successful people, and you want to be around people that's winning. Right now, Coach Nick Saban might be the best that's ever done it. The ship down in Tuscaloosa is at a high level. And I'm telling you, they got a special player that's going to do his thing this year on the field in Bryce Young, coming out of L.A., California, by way of Mandara High School. Same high school Matt Leinart went to, and Matt Barkley. So this is a guy that I think when it's all said and done might be one of the best that's ever done it at Alabama under the center. And he's electrifying. So that being said, I know a lot of people. I'm a diehard Tennessee fan. You got a lot of people in Georgia where we broadcasting from. But if you're going to catch Alabama this year, you better catch them this year, because if you don't, the Crimson Tide might roll off another 3 or 4 straight. And then Coach Nick Saban signed the extension. So what does that tell you? He's going to be around a while. So if you like the video this evening, please come in and share it. And like the great band from the state of Alabama, Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama. As you see Coach Jones, he got his brand new birthday present, a wallet, a little wallet with the A on it in his hat, Alabama. So thank you. God bless. And we'll be back next week as we're going to break down another college team that's playing at a high level. Thank you this evening for watching 100 Yards Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Joining me this evening, the very talented Kevin the Bull Jones, and our producer, babyface Logan Landers. Thank you so much. God bless, and y'all have a wonderful evening.